Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to another episode of the Foolsopolis here in City Skylines. But today we are continuing the expansions. I got a bunch of stuff I want to get in. I want to take a look at some of the not monuments. What's it called? Landmarks? No, the unique buildings. That's what I'm trying to think of right now. Get a couple of those in. I want to build first one of many kind of utility areas we're going to have set up around the city. I definitely want to get the stadium in too, and hopefully continue the expansions, grow the population a little bit more, and continue the foolishness in the biggest city your boy has ever built. Now, if you are enjoying this series and want to see more, then please make sure you smash the like button down below. If you are new around here, then make sure you do subscribe so you are notified when that next episode does come out. But last episode, guys, we got set up this little area. We extended the train line to kind of have a little import-export area all set up. We got the road all hooked in. Lots of traffic right now because at the minute there's only really one road that they can utilize to get in and out. Is there traffic lights here? I think there might be. Yeah. Right, get rid of them traffic lights right now because it'll kind of ease the abilities for them to flow a bit more. We'll sort out the double lane system on these slip roads so we get more vehicles coming in and out. But we have the highway, which not many people use at the minute, but it will do once I get it added into the edge of the region. So we got tons of stuff we've got to get set up over here and loads of stuff I want to build in the middle. Now, currently, we do have quite a large industrial demand. Now, how far do we get to kind of zoning it over here? We still got room for more expansions and more growth, so we'll work with this first and get that zoning in, which will hopefully then go on to buffer all the other zoning as well. So we'll first start here then, and what we'll get done is the double slip roads, just to enable us to have the traffic flow a little bit better. So it basically gives them two lanes that you can turn out from and also turn in from. Also, getting rid of them traffic lights has kind of, you know, cleared a lot of the traffic anyway. But we'll quickly set all this up. So if you're coming in this way, bam. If you're going in this way, well, bam. That turns this way, that turns that way, so then you flip over to there, and then you flip over to there. So we're really minimalizing the amount of traffic that crisscrosses one another. And it's also allowing us to, right, get you to go there, to have multiple vehicles enter and exit the highway at the same time. So it really does kind of help us out. So get all this connected. Bam. So this junction now should be a little bit more free. It'll take a minute for them to update and realize what is going down. But I think just doing that little bit there has kind of really flushed the traffic through a little bit more. Now what we'll do next then, we'll kind of extend it a little bit so we can get some more industrial growth added in. So if I bring this right down to the bottom, again, it's still all elevated, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Bam. Bam. We'll bring this further down. Bam. Bam. And do I add that in or should I kill that off? I'll kill that off. I might as well just kill it off. Oh, I've got it running through there as well. Do I need that additional bit? I don't feel like I do. So we'll kill it off this side anyway. And then what we'll do, dirty industrial. We'll drop a big section of it there and there. And hopefully spend that demand, which will increase other demands. Sweet, mate. So while more stuff goes on and on and on then, what we're going to do, we're going to first take a look at building our first utility section. Now we're going to have many of these dotted around the city. So I think we'll slowly kind of get rid of this, but in return we'll build up like a new one. Now I think it's best to kind of implement them around the industrial areas anyway, and what they're going to kind of keep care of or keep a hold of is the garbage production, the sewage production, if you want to call it production. When it comes to water, I'm not 100% sure just yet, because the ground's going to be heavily polluted around these areas anyway. But we can do it in a different kind of system. So if I go to pollution, you can see how the pollution now works. Now, recently in the Dead End series, I did my very own kind of water treatment area, which worked out pretty well. It did work out pretty well. I don't know whether that's something that I'm going to implement in Foolsopolis. I mean, it could be a good thing to implement in, but I don't 100% know just yet. And plus, we're going to need a lot to be able to kind of supplement what's going down right now. So in terms of water usage, we need... Do you know what? Actually, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Okay, what we'll do is we'll do a garbage utility and sewage... No, we'll do a garbage utility area first. And I'm kind of drawn to this area. Now, things I got to think of is, one, the garbage trucks need to get in and out of the area really easy, basically. And I don't think this is the perfect spot, to be honest with you, just solely down to the fact that that little junction there is a little bit tasty at times. I could set it up over here, which would mean like utilize this highway, but it's really far away from kind of certain areas. But then it's the whole thing that I will eventually have multiple all set up. So I think what we'll do, we'll first kind of start it then. I'm going to use this section here because we got a couple little kind of slip roads here to a big interchange, go in any direction that they pretty much want. So we'll start here then. And they're only going to be very basic, not going to be something crazy, anything like that. So I bring that into about there, and then if I do this by a 10 by 10, let me just kind of work this spacing out. Unless I made it go in line with this, that's a 10 completely off there. If we got by 1, that becomes then your 11 to keep the zoning. And then down to there is a 22. So if I do a 11, sorry. That should be... Oh, why have I done an 11? I should have done a 12. And then roughly a 10 by 10 bend, right? 10 by 7. So how has that worked out? Oh, I didn't take into account this, did I? So in reality, I need to come out by another 3. That should then be a 7 by 7 bend. Sweet. Okay. So. Now, if I make this be, and we're going to one-way system this, the outlet. So vehicles pump out that way because it's easier to get to this. But again, do you know what? It doesn't really matter. I just realized it doesn't really matter because these are set up to go in multiple directions. So like I said, yeah, it doesn't really matter. So over here then, we'll go with the large recycling centres. They're very decent sized buildings. So if I drop one there, right, and we've got to do this a little bit carefully right now because of the spacing that we do have. And what we'll do is, so that can actually go up a bit more. If I go by another 5, that works. 18. So if I do an 8, then I should be able to do a 10 by 10 bend to draw it all back in. How do we feel about that? I don't know if that kind of works. So what I could do is draw up by another 10. Bring it across. Because I'm trying to like also work with the area. But often it doesn't really play out that well, if you know what I mean. So if I drop another one facing that way, so thus keeping the traffic all off one another, I could have one there or I could have one here. I think we'll have one there, which would allow me to place one in here. So I don't know whether to stagger it a little bit so they're not all exiting from the same point, which will be kind of handy. So that does stagger quite a bit. Now we've got a bunch of garbage stuff here, which we're now going to get rid of. Because we kind of like keeping it all within the one area. Now, not all of it we're going to be able to recycle. So unfortunately, some of it we're going to have to kind of incinerate. So we'll try and place down now. If I pick, let's say this point, come up by a 6. Couple of incineration plants just pumping down right there. So everything's all localized in this area. I'm actually liking this one that's sticking off the edge. So what I'll do, I'll place this. And let's go. I mean, it doesn't matter where I place it. It's going to be kind of slightly off. Like that. So we've got this nice little section here that can handle a large amount of garbage production. So those city vitals, Garbage processing power. It's actually still not the highest, so we still got a little bit more to go. But that becomes a nice little pocket over here. Now, if I did the same, for example, do you know, I might save this for the water treatment side of things, because we got more space in here, and I could maybe run down some excess water pumping in that direction into here. Your boy's got those ideas. Whether or not those ideas work, I do not know. So my other garbage stuff then, we have garbage facilities over here, which we do need another garbage facility over here. Don't get me wrong, I do need to get something set up. But I feel like it should be built closer to this on an off-ramp section right now. To me, that sounds more important. So if we get for the industrial roads right now, leading all the way down by a 40... So if I just do the generic stuff first, then so a 10 there, 10 there, 10 there. One of these, it might be this one, is going to pump out, but hold on, because say that's the 10 marker here, and then we go down by a 40 that way. So up there, that's perfect. So 40, and that would be 11, the connection into that. So if I choose this one then to be the one that passes all the way under. What's the... Yeah, the heights are not ideal here to allow us to pass under just there. And if I build it just under here, then they'll take both roads depending on which direction they're pretty much traveling in. Now, the majority of them are going to travel in that direction, but they're also going to come off this way anyway, so it doesn't really matter in that sense. But it allows us to kind of utilize this on an off-ramp area to the highway a little bit better. So, if I do bring this down by 10... Right, hold on. Bam. Bam. Again, just try and get all my spacing sorted. Now, from a garbage standpoint, those large recycling centres... Ooh. Okay, so we'll do it like this. One there, and one there. So if I bring it up by... So that's already 10. If I do a 40... So up by 30, because we've already done a 40 anyway, and it kind of creates that. That will go underneath here. And if I run you up to there, run you up to here, let's just see how many we can place within this section. So it's going to be another one there, and another one there. So we've got 4 in total. So on this side, I mean, I could squeeze in, but it's not going to work. I could place down the smaller recycling centres. Or I could then set up the waste transfer facilities. Now, there is a bunch of ways in which you can pretty much go and do this. So, waste transfer facility versus the waste processing complex. Now, no matter which one you choose, they are both going to have pollution. So, I don't feel like the waste transfer facility is really going to work for us. But the smaller recycling centres could be really ideal. If I leave a 2 space there and there, 2 space there and there, and then we'll finish up then with like a little incinerator maybe. How would that work? Or should I keep it kind of open and free? Because that becomes a nice little section there, which the garbage process status then really does increase. So in reality, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of the ones that I have in certain areas and create these little pockets of sections. Now, I'm going to keep this one in here for now because I don't really have anything else set up. I do need to work with somewhere else, so maybe I should get one built over here, which will then give me the opportunity to get rid of this one. It's probably what I need to do. It's the only kind of thing that puts me off is the amount of traffic that uses this junction. Now, if I set it up correctly, it shouldn't be a problem. But this is City Skylines we're talking about, boys. So there is a 12. So if I came up there, is a 14. is a 12. So I'll come up by another 10. Now, I know this whole thing is kind of a little bit jaggedy and spaced kind of really weirdly. But we should be able to get away with it. So the larger building. There and there. So one just there and there on both sides right now. And we'll kind of build it a little bit more over this way. But again, I'm kind of opening up the opportunity for them to drive down here, go around and up that way. Which hopefully does eliminate the amount of vehicles that use this. But again, at the same time, it won't. We all know it won't. So if I bring this up then by 20 across and then down. And I do a 10 by 10 straight down. 10 by 10 and straight down. And that's as far as we're going to go in terms of these larger buildings yet again. So I do one there. And I do one literally dead opposite it. I might as well. Ooh, could we get away with one in here? We could, because of how the building and how the road is so elevated. That's not too bad. And then some incineration plants, because not all of it we can recycle. We got to burn some of it. It's just, you know, how it is. Alright, if I do it like that. So these are heavy polluting areas. We know this. But this is why we put them in less desirable locations. So again, it's only really garbage processing stuff. But I just thought to myself, I don't need to do water pipes. Because obviously we got the ability to remove all that with the mods. I haven't got to do electricity. So when it comes to the water processing then, it's just a case of I need water for them to drink. I need the sewage processing to clean it. Which that is not looking too good right now. But garbage processing goes now through the roof. So I'm going to get rid of this. Which by getting rid of this, right, I will give you a quick warning right now. It will mess up my city. Because they've been heavily relying on this being a very focal center point. So now the city has to then reconfigure itself and understand where these new hotspots are. So we've got one over here. Obviously one over there. And then one over there. Granted, I'm going to need one over here at some point. But I can't do anything with this area until that pollution's died down either too. So that will take a little bit of time. I still need to kind of do this as a more of a swoop, don't I? I don't know what's kind of putting me off doing it. I have no idea, but you know what? We should do it. Okay? So, it's a bit different to what we would normally do. The whole purpose of it is to create a more direct approach to this area. So if I bow that in, it allows us to create a swoop so the vehicles don't need to slow. They're not doing a 90-degree turn is what I'm saying. So if I cancel that and cancel that, technically then here we need a symmetrical road. Asymmetrical road is the correct way to pull it, isn't it? So to find that real quick right now, it's a 2 and a 1. Which will be that, but not that. Because that looks really weird now, doesn't it? Right, there's none in that kind of point, is there? Is it this one? That's a 3 and a 2. It's going the opposite way. No. It's this, in a sense, but I can't do it without trees. Because there's no version of it without trees. With trees, sorry. Which is a bit annoying. But just roll with me a second, okay? Just roll with me a second on this. It might be a bit confusing. So that does this. That is literally just turned into there. So you kind of lose that one. Because this one then takes place like that. So this we just quickly sort out like that. So when they're coming down here then, it's not perfect. It's not the best system. But it allows them to approach this at not a 90-degree turn. So they can just flow onto it as so much more easier. Without having to slow down or stop backing up the vehicles. Alright. That's literally all it's for. In terms of speed limits, they're going from an 80 to a 50. In the junction restrictions, we allow them to continually float in. So it's not perfect, guys. I know this. But you just got to adapt to certain areas. So hopefully that works out well for us. I suppose only time will tell. So the next little kind of issue could be is that, like, you know, maybe I need to kind of divide them a bit sooner. But they seem to flow through quite nice anyway. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we've got a ton of vehicles, garbage trucks right now trying to get out of here. So now it's just a case of the roads around it. Getting these all hooked up. Now that is slightly off-centered too, which is even more annoying. This whole area here is all gobbledygook right now, isn't it? It really is. Alright, if I brought this down to here. I don't know why I've done it like that. There's nothing stopping me from creating a connection here. And there. To try and have some organization, basically. So same thing's going to happen. Oh, no, that one goes straight. Weirdly enough, that one does go straight. Keeping that diagonal. Like that, just because that's how the road goes. I know it's so complex and complicated underneath. But this allows us now to have these flows. Now, what's even more annoying is the fact that this road here would technically connect. But I'm keeping it quite free for the garbage trucks. I really don't like this road. So what I'll do, what we'll do here, we'll try and do a little bit of magic. Alright, if I do a 4x4, and that becomes, is that a 7? There we go, something a little bit different. Rather than the usual bendy wendy. Right. It's not great. It's shocking. I'll be honest. It is shocking. And we have a ton of traffic right now, but that is all the garbage trucks trying to get out of the region. Once they've all spread out and things are going as planned, then we should be alright. But yeah, it is quite dramatic. But I'll leave it for a second. So we're starting to need lots and lots of water. So as we pause it right now, we need to sort this out. So we also need to sort out the garbage too. So what I'm thinking of is, right, maybe we can do something with this, because this is going to be dead space for half the time. So what if I utilized something here with creating like a garbage processing plant of some kind, of some sort. Now, if I went down that road and we utilized and implemented the canals, that would this be too wide? Let me just play around with the spacings and the designs and all that. It might be a bit too wide, so if I kept it to the skinnier version, we could get away with it. So that will run down like fresh water. And then here and pump it this way. So 40, and if I come out by a 10 and then go back down by 25 by a 10 by 25, I'm borderline creating something very similar to what I did in the Dead End series. So if you catch one of my recent episodes where I built like a little waste transfer facility with the sewage and whatnot, that's pretty much what I'm building right now. Now we're really going to have to clean this up. We are really going to have to clean this up, so that's where a little bit of magic is going to get involved. So another 10 by 25. Another 10 by 25. And we'll leave it like... Oh, do I leave it like this, or should I again take it the extra step? 10. Now that will be another 10 as well. So I'm taking it the extra step, guys, okay? I'm implementing it, integrating this within our little area. So, how it's going to work is we'll drop down all the sewage outlet stuff. So we'll use the eco water pipe. So if I dropped in, I mean, there's multiple we can place it in. We're going to have to kind of like squeeze them in like this. So if I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, they do need, even though I don't need pipes, they need pipes like this. Okay? And that will then start pumping out the sewage, which in return will increase the sewage treatment, which you can now see it doing, which is bumped up our sewage treatment. Good stuff. But the thing is, it drops sewage in here. Now, to have the capacity, what I also should have done is made these the really deep versions of them. So we can hold more sewage within them. Now that won't take long to kind of get all filtered through. It really won't, but my problem is the drinking water. So as it's kind of going around both sides this way, I'm dropping them down these floating facilities, which slowly clean the water. And then as it progresses down here, I might make it do like a little bit of a UE, and that's where we then select and pick up the clean drinking water. So you kind of get it from both ends. Water's going to filter in as well from this. So we're kind of diluting it as much as we can. That's pretty much how it's going to work. So we do need to get a bunch of these in. It's a very expensive way to do it. It really is. But if I every so often through this we drop some on, every time it gets to the next area, it's getting a little bit cleaner and a little bit cleaner. Now it can seep through some of the gaps, which is why in some areas we double back on ourselves. Now it's a very expensive method to do this, but I think I like it. I feel like we're having more involvement in cleaning the water, as opposed to just placing something down, here you go, it's all done and dusted. I feel like I'm micromanaging the sewage treatment levels. So yeah, it will slightly clean it. It's got to go through a couple of them. Sometimes it does like to kind of seep through the sides of the gaps, but I'm hoping I've placed them strategically enough that the water's going to be clean. And we'll just give it its moment then. So it will take a moment. Yeah, some of the city is complaining about there's not enough water and whatnot, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. So we are going to bring this down. So by a 20, bring it up by a, see that it's going to get slightly polluted there, but if I bring it up by a 15, a 10, 15, if I do another 10, and then you're right into the real world. So it's a nice little bit of a wiggle, isn't it? So you like to think right now what's coming out is actually not polluted water. So you can see as it goes through these stages, it gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. That looks like got like a little bit of a brown tinge coming round. So we'll probably need more of these on these corners. So it looks weird as well until the water level has risen. That's something else as well. So it should be clean at this point. It should be kind of clean. So what I'll do as well, I don't know whether it's actually to do like this, where I connect this, and then filter out here by a 20 as well. And then on these little kind of pillars right now is where we can do where the water sucks up into drinking water. So I could do like the bigger versions of them. So I can have like you there, and then you here. Now these do suck up a lot of water, so you'll need like a consistent flow of water coming in. So water's going out, water's coming in. Hopefully it's going to be diluted enough. But this will take a minute. This will take a hot minute right now, boys. But it should look good. I don't know whether to kind of have 2 entrances on it. But again, we got to wait for the water to rise. But I feel like I'm being more inclusive with my sewage treatment. So water availability does kind of increase and does climb. But the only problem is there room for expansions on this? Yes, there is. There is room for expansions on it. We can add more onto it. But that's a huge amount of availability right now for what we currently got. So if I was then to get rid of all of this, because obviously this will now affect what is then available. So in terms of sewage, it puts our sewage treatment down into the red. Okay. So that then gives me the ability then for the sewage side of things. Now, not all of it needs to be pumped out like what we're doing. And I could use the larger versions, but they are quite big and I can squeeze more of these in the same space. Like I said, like you could just build and place stuff down, but I feel like this, I'm having an input in how it works. So, increased output right now. So just got to wait for them to turn on. And then my sewage should slightly come out of the red a little bit. But it's probably not going to be enough, is it? Nope. It's not going to be enough, Seniac. So, is that going to be enough to kind of keep filling it up? I mean, it's jumped up a bit more. So these are the eco ones as well. They only pump out 60,000. These ones here do 120,000. So maybe I should do some normal variations too. It should all get cleaned the same. So just by doing those 4, wait for them to be turned on right now. And then see how much this now jumps up. So it's now in the green, which is not too shabby. Not too shabby, boys. We're just going to make sure that it doesn't pump so much in that it can't all escape quick enough. Because that will also be hilarious too. I feel like we might have that issue. Because we're getting it now. Yeah. Right, what we'll do. We'll get rid of these 2 end ones. Because that does pump out quite a bit, doesn't it? It really does. And we'll kind of also utilize then some of the basins. So if I come up by a 15, how many basins can we squeeze in within that area? So if I had one here, I could do almost one that way. Is it within the 15 or does it need to be pushed back a bit? Yeah, it does need to be pushed back a bit. Sweet, mate. So that is already an 8. If I go by an 8, that's then been a 16. Is that enough? Oh, yes. So a 16 is perfect. Bam, bam. So get them all aligned up correctly. So nice big chunk of basins. I gotta wait for all this to flush through all nicely and be even. So that will go through to there. So that will really pump up my my sewage treatment, which is all handy. So it's all placed within the same kind of area facility or whatnot. I could squeeze down a couple more of these industrial factories along just here. Squeeze some within there. And within there. So we're starting to bulk this area up a bit more. And once all that water's kind of settled and pushed through, we should be okay. We just got to give it time because it's now fighting the water coming down versus going out. It kind of low-key clashes. So we've got to wait for it to be filtered a bit more. So we're going to get a little bit of flooding. But we've got our own system of cleaning the chocolate water. It's the best way to put it. And then this won't be so dramatic with water kind of funneling out. We've just got to find that nice little balance. We've got to find that nice little balance. And it always helps if we select, say, this node here. Ooh, okay, not bring it up like that. I shouldn't have done that because now look what I've done. I don't know, we can make it filter out like in an angle, but it won't really matter because the flows will kind of handle the rest for us. I just got to give it a chance to funnel all the way through. Whoopsie! Whoops-a-daisy. To be honest with you, it's that high, I might have to get rid of one or two. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 there. We'll get rid of this one. There we go. Reduce the amount we're pumping in. That would be a little bit better, wouldn't it? Because we've got these as well. So doing its thing, mate. It's a little bit all over the place. But we will eventually have the water high enough. I should drop this one as well. There we go. So it just sink in a little bit more. It eventually will be hidden with the water. But you just got to find these balances. They do take a while. So, water's good. Well, I say water's good. We've got to get rid of all of these. Which, to be honest with you, it will affect our water availability. I've got these over here set up. Now I could add another 1 or 2 in. Like I could have this one opposite it as well. But you are really then messing about with how it all connects. There we go, that connects that one up. So, big pumps, once working, should increase our water availability again. You just gotta wait for them to start working and pumping up. Are they gonna do it? Look at the chocolate goodness right now. It's been filtered out nice and clean. Operating normally, all good. So it puts us in the green then. You do get it, you know, the ability to work and use it, which is great stuff. Lots of water flowing in. Now, do we sort out the land just slightly around here? To bulk that out a bit more. If I delete this, and then bring that out, it will allow us to drop another one here and here. So that will majority suck up the water coming in the area. And then them ones there will suck up the ones leading out. It's a very funky system. I'm just trying to get it all integrated within around the same area and just fill in all the little nooks and crannies and gaps. and have all the water systems kind of low-key connected. But that gives us loads of water availability, so that's all good. We kind of sort out a lot of issues doing it like that. Now we have the water source just there. I feel like we should add a water source just here. Just to naturally keep enough water within the area for all of this. I'm liking this, how it all gets sorted. And you can see all the chocolatey goodness. Does look pretty cool though, doesn't it? I do like these little systems because they do give you that like additional level of control, as if you're having an input and not micromanaging. Well, it allows you to micromanage rather than just kind of like do stuff individually. So, a lot of good stuff now going on then. And we'll take a look now then at getting the little sports stadium in, because we do need to start adding some leisure items. So, sports stadium, football, I want to get it in around here. I feel like that will be perfect. Now, what I'm going to do, what is the 40 mark? The 40 mark is here. So, although we don't connect anywhere at the minute, I'll add the 40 mark in there. And then we'll come up by... I feel like we need to go kind of slightly diagonal. So that's a... If I go by a 10 here... By a 10 there. Diagonal just to kind of get this in. So if I did it like... that... It's diagonal, so you got this kind of ringing around it slightly. And then that would still finish perfectly if I can get the angle all in. Is it more of a 16? Well, that should still work. I'm trying to figure out how am I approaching this. Like that, and then we did maybe a car park. So car park does actually work. I could go even chunkier. I'm trying to see how these look with the size that they are. Would then one tiny one in here work? Do they work? A 20. A 20. And then what if we centralize this? Pull it over here. Right, it's going to have to go there. We'll scrap these. And in return, we can have the normal roads run up to them. See, that's better, isn't it? And then if I run that to there. Have this actually be this type of road so it's all like the same colour. So you got that ring going around it. And now we got a car park we can get all up and running. So if I get all this car parking added in. Like that. And then here on this side. That all works. There we go. Which kind of then means no parking around these areas, please. Alright, so we can filter all that to the car parks. We can now see the cars do get moved over to it. Which, do I need to change this? That stop there should be okay. Get rid of all parking around the general roads. So no one can sneakily park in these side streets. And they'll be forced to park in here. We've got a stadium all set up, boys. Which means I'm going to then filter and fill in all of this area with commercial. It makes sense because of the nature of this area. I'll do 2 more rows here. Because the amount of tourists that can come in and out. There's a stop there for the trams. The metro stop is just over there. So that will spend a big chunk of the demands anyway. How's the water levels right now then? They're looking pretty good, right? All nice and thick. Trains passing through. Glorious. It just adds that additional level of detail to the city, doesn't it? I do like it. Now, the next problems are... we kind of have to throw the heating in, even though we're not using heating. That is just how it comes down, unfortunately, to the city. When you use this mod, you have to add in the heating. So if I put it here instead, and then get it connected with a pipe, it then means I can get rid of this one. I mean, I have got to go around and delete all this stuff, but I'm not going to do it now. So all I've got to do then is then set up all the kind of... Right, we got rid of all the garbage, by the way. The crematoriums is what I got to set up a little, at some point. Water. Heating's only over there. Any other water? It's all over there. I think we're okay. I think we're going to be okay. Now, some people are getting sick. I would assume this is noise pollution. Yes. It is down to the noise pollution. Not much I can do at the minute. But that's glorious. I'm liking that. What other kind of buildings can I squeeze in then? We got the luxury hotel. Oh, the casinos from Dead End. Oh my goodness me. Any tallish buildings? The colossal offices. So you kind of slowly want to get these in. And start to build up the skyline of the city. The Grand Mall. Now I want the tall buildings first. They're all casino buildings. Oh my goodness me. The services offices. So these type of buildings are great for, like, around this area where there's not really much going on. And plus you've got the tall sky, you got the highway near it, so the skyscraper buildings kind of break the edging. Have you in there. The high interest tower. We'll have this one over here. What else we got is pretty tall? The CN skyscraper. A casino. Do you know what? I'm going to move this one. Just to there, so they're kind of low-key together. That CN skyscraper building. Could literally go on the corner. And then we'll just build this area up with a few more little taller buildings. These eventually get even taller and taller anyway, so they'll complement this little area. But slowly starting to add these in is going to make a really, really big difference for us. I know a lot of them are casinos that I've got. The Casino Hotel. And I probably will end up putting them in. I probably will. We'll just see how things go. I'm trying to see where like the best places to put some of this stuff would be. It's ideal for those little parks on like near the roundabout sections. Just adds additional leisure facilities. But things are going well. Believe it or not, things are going well. Heavy amount of utilities being... Oh my goodness me. So that's the next problem we've got then. We've got to try and filter it all out. So it does need to be kind of sloped so it does go out in a certain direction. So if I pause, I raise that up. Right, if I select these two here, set them to object height of, they're both the same object height basically, right? So then if I select you and then bring you down a tad, and then I select this one there and then this one, and then object height of, am I selecting the right, I'm not even selecting the right thing, am I? It's a bit difficult to do so, to be honest with you. But if we quickly select you to there, that'll cause a slope, and then obviously you that then all slopes down, so it's all in a sloping direction. Same goes for that. It's not massive, but it's enough for the water to understand which direction it should be flowing in. Does that make sense? So going to cause some flooding. It is what it is, but the water knows it's gradually going downhill around here, around here, around there, and then filtering out that way. So it should all flow this way and then fight against the water coming in. It does take a little bit of time to do so. But it should turn out pretty well. It really should. So I think we'll end it for here then. We've done a lot of stuff that we kind of need to continue the expansions on and get all set up. There's a lot of traffic coming in and out in certain areas that we got to kind of focus on and filter on, and get more roads connected into different areas and regions. Got to get more highways set up too. That's going to be a big must. I want to get this branch here connected as well, because then we can use that end road to there, so it becomes another highway connection. But it's just that sense right now where we've got to try and build the population up. It does get and it is now starting to get a lot difficult to do so. So if I zoned all of this, because I do want all of that to be eventually residential, I want all of this here to be residential, but it's a huge pain. It is a huge pain to try and squeeze it all in and get everybody moving at the same time. So we could have, like, 300,000 people, maybe even more, just living in the ringed road area of the city. Holy moly. But we do need to build up some other areas. I do need to earn some more money before we have the ability to eventually turn off the unlimited money mod. Now we've got all this sloped, water can go in a certain direction, so it shouldn't overspill as much as it was doing before. Things are hopefully going to be looking up for us. So, bit of a long-winded one. We've got it all done, but the expansions may continue. But most importantly, we are on our way to 80,000 people living here. Glorious. Until next time, guys, I'll see you all soon. So good.